Take it away, Nigel.
Good evening, everybody. This is your training chair for the Department of Utah, and we'd like to welcome you here this evening. Tonight, we have our department adjutant, Rick Mead, who is providing our training about VA claims and a sundry, I'm sure, of other things as well. And so we're just gonna, before we proceed, if you're on here with multiple people in your post, please make sure that they put their name, their post, and city that they're in. And if you're just already on here, I can see that some people have already put their name, but please just type your name, your post, and city within the chat. If you don't know how to access the chat, there's a little chat icon down at the bottom. You just hit that and it'll open up the chat. You also can do the same for the participants. So we've increased to 12 participants, but that doesn't mean there's just 12 people. Sometimes we have posts who are on shared computers or iPads or even smartphones. So with that, we're going to go ahead. I'd first like to thank Rick for taking the time tonight. I know he's been a very busy department adjutant and has had a lot going on behind the scenes. And why do we know this? Because probably every single one of us here has had a phone conversation or an email or in-person contact with Rick in the last few weeks. So I know he's been busy too. So Rick,
and for some, there's been more than one. Hasn't that right, Bob?
Yeah. So with that, we're going to go ahead, and I'd also like to introduce, since we have him on here, we have our department vice commander sitting on this call, Kent Anderson. I don't believe we have our department commander on here. Hopefully we will later, but so thank you for being here as the commander, but also as part of a member, I believe, with Post 68 down in Spanish Fork. And to all of you who are here and actually taking the time to be here tonight, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it. We put these trainings together for you specifically and your members. And so please keep sharing the love out there in your posts. And even our other members as an American Legion family, they are certainly welcome to come and join us as well. There's always a lot of helpful information. So with that, Rick, if you'll just go ahead and dive right in.
I will. Thank you very much, Nigel. I appreciate the introduction, first of all. And I also appreciate everybody's time who's joined the training sessions. And we will be recording this and putting this out. I've got a YouTube channel now for the Department of Utah. And so I'm now able to take these recordings. And once we get this done, I'm going to push it out to the UT Legion website, utlegion.org. And I will be getting this information over to Logan Zabriskie. I've also got a lot of recordings from last year and from some that Paula did even the year before that. I'm going to patiently work through that process to where I can get those all pushed out so that we have got a good training in the box selection going forward. One thing I would like to note, for those of you that are looking at people's names, you'll see a name on the visitor or on the attendee list that says Logan's iPhone. That young lady called me up about 2 weeks ago and said, I'm looking for a way to volunteer and help veterans. And I'm wondering if you've got anything that can be done within the Department of Utah. So I had a conversation with her, and lo and behold, she actually worked in the VA Regional Office Call Center for 3.5 years before moving on to some other assignments. And so I have actually brought her in. She is going to be helping us out with some of the VSO claim processing. She cannot be a VSO because she's not served in the military, and that's a requirement to be a veteran service officer within any of the veterans organizations. But she does have a lot of great skills, and we're going to put her to work to help us out as we go through this. So she's I know currently driving. I texted with her a little bit earlier, and I've got some more in the waiting room. So I'm going to admit everybody that's there, and we'll see what comes up here. So we're getting our count up. So just anyway, I wanted to introduce you to Logan, and I'll let her say something once she gets done driving and she gets home and she can actually maybe take a breath and say hello. So Terry Scow is going to be on here with me as well. he had some conflicts. I actually was in a training session with him today that the Veterans and Military Affairs put on for veteran service officers. So I'm going to be going through some of that information with you as well. And again, remember to put in your name and your post number on into the chat so that we can track the people that are joining us and participating in these training sessions. So with that said, I'm going to move on, and a couple of things I want to actually start with. We had some conversations today, not just on benefits at the training session that was put on, but also on veterans homes. As many of you are aware, we've got 4 veterans homes in the state of Utah. There's one up in Ogden, there's one in Salt Lake, there's one in Payson, and there's one down in Ivins. Those veterans homes are quite full. They try to manage those at a minimum of 95% occupancy, and there is a waiting list to get into those. And so it's a good idea if you are thinking, or if you know a veteran that is anticipating wanting to use one of those veterans homes, they should contact them now and get on the waiting list and be ready to go forward with that. One of the things we talked about today was some of the requirements in order to get into a veteran's home. And it requires 2 things. One is a DD-214 that you've got in file, and the other one is it's a VA form. It's a 10-10 EZ Echo Zulu, which is the form that you use to assign or to enter into the VA healthcare system. Even if you have already been into the VA healthcare system, you need both of those documents to get into a veteran's home and be able to put that together. So, the suggestion has been made by a number of people in the meeting today that, especially when a veteran is struggling towards if they need to go into a memory care facility, or even when they pass away and their surviving spouse or dependents are looking to file claims, many of them have no clue where the DD-214 is. It is a good idea to make sure that if you're a veteran, you get your DD-214, you know where it is, and the people that are important to you or in your family know where it is as well. That becomes a very important document. The analogy that was used, and I think it's a good one, is that if you were going into another country, you would need a passport. If you're going to go to try to get into the VA, your DD-214 is your passport. That is your main form of identification, and you should have that with you where you know where it is. So one of the things that I attempted to do was to put some files out in the chat, and apparently nobody but me can see them. If anybody can scroll up to the top of the chat window and see some forms there, you can pick that up. A question was just put up from post 68. Oh, thank you. And yes, the form 1010EZ is something that you can find out on va.gov if you go out there, or if you need to get that form and you would like it, I will. You can send me an email. I can send it to you. Or, as importantly, my plan is to actually put a claims folder out on utlegion.org, and I will include that with the other 4 forms that I'll be talking about momentarily that I attempted to attach to this chat box. So you'll be able to go pick those up and look at those there. So that's at least the beginning of the discussion. So claims forms, how do you get started? An individual can file a claim on their own if they so choose to. One of the first things that you should do if you're thinking about filing a claim, or even if you're not sure yet, is to file an intent to file a claim with the VA. And you can do that in one of 2 ways. You can call the VA directly at 1-800-827-1000. And I put that number out there in the chat earlier, but in case you can't see it, please note that number. but it is 1-800-827-1000. Thank you, Ninezel. You are really a good scribe. I appreciate having you on these calls. But that phone number, you can call them and simply let them know that you're going to be filing a claim, and ask them to list you as having an intent to file on record with the VA. And that's the first thing that you want to be able to do in that process. If you are filing it using a form, that's a 21-0966. That's the intent to file form. And that's one of the forms that I had put in there, but apparently nobody is able to see that. And I apologize for that. The next form that you're going to fill out is a claim form itself, which is it's a 21-526 EZ Echo Zulu. And then the other form that is out there is a statement in support of claim, which is a 21-4138 form. Now, again, you can find all of these forms out on the va.gov website. There's a search block when you first go out there that you can pick up all of those and be able to search all of the forms or information on how to file a claim. If you print the version of the VA file or any of the forms that are on the VA system, it will have, and these are the ones that I've actually put out on the website that I send to people. The first pages of that are just instructions on how to fill that form out. Let's talk a little bit about the claim form and what needs to go in there. First and foremost, if you're going to be filing a claim, what you need to be able to do is have, first of all, a diagnosis. So you can't, it is not, the VA will not approve a disability claim unless you have a diagnosis on file or a note from your doctor that you have that diagnosis when you file the claim. If you just tell somebody that you have cancer or you've got a sore knee without a diagnosis, they will deny that claim. So, because you need three things. You need a diagnosis of something that is wrong with you. You need something in service that either aggravated or caused that diagnosis that you've got. And you need a connection between those two. And that connection is something that is, it's either a doctor saying that it is more likely than not, or a doctor saying that, let me look at one thing. Let's see. That it is, yeah, more likely than not, or as likely as not, due to the related military service. So, for example, tinnitus, that ringing in your ears oftentimes comes from being around loud noises in the military, whether it's on the firing line, whether it's live fire exercises in basic or AIT, whether it's being on in artillery, whether it is being in a combat zone, whether it's being around loud generators. It doesn't really matter, as long as you're around loud noises and you can document that, that can be a cause for the tinnitus. Same thing is true for hearing loss. If you have got a issue with your knees, for example, or your back, and you happen to be jumping out of airplanes a lot, that is a good nexus or good cause relationship between the injury you've got now and the activity in service. But you still need a doctor to be able to say it's more likely than not that what you're experiencing now with your knees or your back was because of the number of jumps you had or what you were doing while you were in service. So that all three of those components need to be there. There is a place on that 526 EZ form to put that information down. And along with that, though, it is a really good idea and highly recommended that you also complete your own veteran statement and put that on the statement in support of claim, which is the 4138, and describe to the examiners and the raters what it was that you did in service, what you're experiencing now, how it's affecting your daily life, and why you believe that was connected to service. And if you got that along with a doctor's statement of the same thing, that gives you a very strong probability of being able to get that claim approved. Okay. Now, if you need help filling out the claims or want to talk to somebody about filling out the claims, that's where we suggest that you identify and get yourself a veteran service officer. In our department right now, we've got three: myself, Terry Scow, Tammy Santiri, and we're looking to get some more in, but that's a slow process. It takes a little bit of time to get them trained and get them certified so that they can perform in that capacity. And as I mentioned earlier, Logan Mears, who is on this call as well, will be helping us out because she can answer questions because of her experience in the regional office in the call center there. And so we're looking to be able to provide some additional resource from her to be able to talk to veterans if they've got questions. So that's something that you can do. Now, if you want to assign somebody as a veteran service officer to assist you with a claim, that's where you have to fill out another VA form. It's a 21-22, which is the appointment of a veteran service organization to assist you with filing VA claims. It's not a person, it's an organization. So once you fill out that form, it'll be signed by you. It'll be signed by a VSO or a veteran service officer within that organization. And once that's processed by the VA, then that will give anybody who is a certified veteran service officer within that service organization the ability to look at your files and be able to answer questions about what they see, be able to see some of the history of what you may have already been doing as far as filing claims in the system, and be able to assist you in putting your claims together in the most effective way possible. So what do I mean the most effective way possible? As many of you know, back in August of 2022, the PACT Act was passed by Congress. And that PACT Act identified a number of exposure-related disabilities that are presumptive. And by presumptive, it means if, for example, you're suffering from a particular ailment and you're exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam, or burn pits in the Middle East, or Camp Lejeune contaminated water, or forever chemicals on McClellan Air Force Base, or radiation, or asbestos, or lead-based paint, or AFFF, which is a fire retardant foam, and there is an association between that disease and the toxin you are exposed to, that will be, it's presumptive in that if you have that disability and you are exposed to that toxin and the relationship exists, you will be granted that claim. The only thing that they will need to then determine is the degree to which that affects you in your daily life. And that's part of what the claim processors do when they are doing claim development at the VA, is doing that work in order to identify how much it is impacting you. So for an example, if you have got a claim that has been, if you served in the Middle East and you're around burn pits, one of the presumptive diagnosis against that exposure are migraine headaches. Now, if you've got migraine headaches that are happening once or twice a week, there is 1% rating that will go against that if your claim is approved. If you're getting migraine headaches 2 or 3 times a day, that percentage will be higher because it has a bigger impact on your life. So the details that are in your service treatment records, the STRs, will determine from the claim rater, whoever is doing that work, exactly what the percentage is going to be should it be approved and being identified as something that you are in fact experiencing. That's one of the reasons why that statement in support of claim, that 4138, is so important, because that gives you the ability to describe how much that disability is affecting you as you are going through your day-to-day life.
Hey, Rick.
It's also important.
Rick,
Is there a question?
Yeah, excuse me. Could you mute everybody? We're getting a lot of people feedback from somebody.
That's quieter. And I think I might have muted myself too. Did I? No, can you still hear me okay? Okay. Thank you for the head shake. Boy, now it feels like I'm talking to nobody because I hear nothing. Thank you, Paula. Okay, so in addition to your own statement about how it affects you in your day-to-day life, your friends and family, significant other, kids, they can also write a statement talking about how it affects you. So if we're talking, for example, about hearing loss, they can attest to how often you look at them and say, what? And how many times they talk to you and you don't acknowledge them, for example. And so all of that goes into that, how that particular disability, in this case, what we're talking about is hearing loss, affects you in your day-to-day life. So that's why that's important. So that provides at least a framework of what needs to be done in order to file a claim. As you take a look at the 526 EZ, there's some other documentation in there that you'll need to put in. It will ask you a lot of questions about what your service was, when you went in, when you were separated, what post you were at or where you were stationed when you were separated from the service. It'll ask you questions about whether you were in a combat zone. It'll ask you questions about whether you were ever a POW. It will ask you questions about whether you're receiving retirement pay and a number of other items. There's also a section in there, if you're filing a claim for the first time, that you will definitely want to fill out, and that is information on your banking account information. So that will be what bank you bank with, and whether you want anything that's awarded to you to be deposited in either a checking or a savings account, what the account number is, and what the routing and transit number is. That's in one of the sections on the 526 EZ. That's information you should have along with your DD-214 anytime you're filing a claim for the first time, so that you've got that information available and you can provide that on the form. Again, that's going to be important for the people at the VA that are rating your claim, and then once they get into processing it, that'll make payment happen easier. I have had so many veterans that have had a successful claim process, and the first indication that they had that a claim had been approved is that they had money show up in their account. And they didn't really know why, because they had not received the letter indicating what the affirmative decision was at that time, because it had not gotten through the mail system. And so that processing oftentimes is the first indicator that somebody has, that there is in fact an affirmative decision on a claim that they have filed. So that at a high level is the information that needs to be in place in order to file a claim. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the process. And again, this is something that, matter of fact, I got a new update on the current processing time from the Veterans and Military Affairs at the training that Terry and I attended today. So the first thing that happens when you send a claim in, and there's typically 3 ways that you're going to get that in. You can either submit it yourself online. If you set up a va.gov account, you can actually submit it online yourself digitally. That's one way. Second way is to fill out the forms yourself and then fax them with a fax cover sheet into the VA Intake Center at Janesville, Illinois. Wisconsin, excuse me. And the third way is to talk to your VSO. And what we use is we've got a system that's called VetraSpec, and we can scan your forms in and then submit them directly to the VA using that program, and that will automatically go to the VA, and we can check status on whether it's been received. We'll find out when it starts processing. We can look at that to see what's going on, and we'll also be able to see when it finally gets into the VBMS system, which is the system that the VA uses to track those claims. Now, with that said, I want to tell you about a new feature that's just been added. There was a recent upgrade or update to the VetraSpec system, and we opted into a feature that's called remote signatures. And this helps start this process much easier than it has been in the past, because we can fill out the form on VetraSpec for you, enter your information into the system. And then once we've created, for example, the 2122 form, we can send it directly to your email. You can now electronically sign that and send it back. We'll get notified when that happens, and then we can take that form and then just submit it into the VA directly. It makes it a much more efficient and much more effective process, rather than trying to have somebody print it off, sign it, scan it, then send it back to us, and then having to go through that process of trying to pick that up using either snail mail or email in order to make that happen. So that's really a good feature. I've actually used that, and it is working very well so far, keeping my fingers crossed that it doesn't break. So that's the process of how you can get your claim into the VA system. Now, once you do that, it will take the VA 1 to 3 days to actually get that claim received and put it into the VBMS system and start the process. Once they get that in, they will then take, and you will get notified for within 6 to 10 weeks, the VA will request a compensation and pension exam, C&P exam, if you've heard that term. If the evidence of record shows that one should be ordered, it may take longer if the VA has to request the veteran's military records from archives. So I make that statement to say, if you are wishing from waiting participants, is there anybody that's waiting out there now? Let me double check.
Rick, I got kicked off and I'm in a hotel. I just got kicked off and got back in.
Oh, but you did get back in, Craig? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Rick,
Just-
I just
yeah.
do you want to wait for questions or comments to the end, or do you want to intervene it through your session?
You know, I was actually just thinking about that. I'm glad you interrupted and asked me the question. There's somebody in the waiting room, so let me admit them. I'll tell you, I'm going to actually stop that process right now and ask for questions. If anybody's got any questions so far, and then I'll go through the rest of the process that we've got coming down the road. Go ahead. Any questions? Yes, sir. Bobby. Yes, you have to unmute.
I had to unmute. The word presumptive is really, I've had several people talk to me about, say, for example, Agent Orange.
Yep.
And they want to put in for it, and they went through the VA and attended the class down there and has been screened for Agent Orange.
Right.
But what about those people that they don't have any symptoms of it, but they were actually exposed to it?
Great question, and let me answer that a couple of different. Let me provide a little bit of insight in that for a couple of things. First of all, it's interesting when you go out and you look at the VA system, because there's 2 categories of Agent Orange exposure that they document in the VA. One is if you are in country for 1 day, you are exposed to Agent Orange. For purposes of presumptive exposure, it's 90 days in country continuous. Now, I'm gonna qualify that, because just because you haven't been in 90 days, if you've got 1 day exposure and you have an illness that is presumptive to Agent Orange, you can file for that. And that presumptive reality will kick in for that claim, especially if you've got a doctor that says it's as likely as not because of your exposure to Agent Orange. Now, specifically to your question, Bobby, if you don't have a diagnosis yet, you cannot file a claim for Agent Orange exposure because the exposure is the cause of a very long list of maladies. Okay, from cancers to hypertension to other things as well. And so again, what you have to have is you have to have both sides of that equation, both the diagnosis and the exposure and the connection between the two. So until somebody has got a cancer or hypertension or irritable bowel disease or something that might relate back to that exposure, they can't file a claim for that because you need all three of those components in place. I will also tell you when it comes to the exposure for it, I had one veteran that I worked with who was never in country in Vietnam. He served during that period of time. He was stationed in Washington State at an air base, and his job was cleaning airplanes that were coming back from Vietnam that had been dropping Agent Orange. And so he got exposed to it because of his job cleaning those airplanes, taking them apart, and putting them back together before they could be cycle back into service. And so you can get that exposure in multiple ways. So just because you were not in country, don't think that you might not have been exposed to it because you could have been in other ways. You just have to get that documented and be able to put that together. Now, to answer your question a little bit further, when they do go into the VA and they go through the rating and the screening for Agent Orange exposure, same thing is going to be true of burn pit exposures and others. One of the things that happens as part of that, and if it doesn't happen immediately upon doing the assessment, it'll happen as soon as you file a claim and you indicate toxic exposure as one of the causes for your claim. The VA will complete a TERA memorandum. That's a TERA, stands for Toxic Exposure Risk Activity. And that TERA memorandum will confirm, based on your service records and your MOS and what you did, that you were in fact involved in a toxic exposure risk activity. And that will be documented and that gets permanently put into your record. So any other claims down the road that might be related to that, they'll be able to refer to that TERA memorandum and confirm that you were involved in that while you were in the service. I know that's a long answer to your question, but did that answer it for you, Bobby? Okay, I'll take that. Thank you. You didn't have to go off mute for that. Any other questions right now?
I just wanted to make a comment that was in the chat from Logan, making sure you let them know if they receive drill pay that they can only receive disability or drill. They'll have to waive one or the other. And then I think this is Kent, that this also applies to retirement pay as well.
Very good. And I was just going to introduce Logan as well when I got done with the questions. And thank you for that, Logan. Logan, you want to jump on right now and just say hello to everybody and tell them who you are?
Hi, guys. I'm excited to be able to volunteer. Rick's done so much to help me out. I've been trying to do this for years, so it's been so nice. I'm excited to work with all of you. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to help if I can. I worked in the regional office for 3.5 years doing veterans disability claims, and then I trained a lot of the employees there. I was telling Rick earlier that I spent 2 days for almost a year just doing training stuff and training material for the classes. So I have a lot of cheat sheets and stuff if you guys need anything. And then I also worked with the Undersecretary of Benefits, Allison Hickey, to do a couple things. That was a cool experience. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. I've done e-benefits. I had my sensitive 7. So I took a lot of the different calls from suicide to homicidal calls. So all of them. So yeah, excited to see all you guys and meet all you guys.
Okay, thanks, Logan. And I have to tell you, after I've had some interactions with Logan now, and this young lady knows a lot. She's got a lot of good experience, and so she's going to be a very valuable asset to us, and be able to help out. I think in a very positive way for things that go on to the department. So thank you for being here, Logan. I appreciate that. Paula.
I have two things. One question is, I had a call the other day and somebody said that they thought they were exposed to the chemicals that were at Fort McClellan, Alabama, based on some of the things that are coming out of the studies from Fort McClellan, because that was a chemical capital of the world
Right.
at one time. Do they go to a certified veteran service officer to file a claim for that?
Yes, they can. And a matter of fact, I've got some veterans that have got claims for, because they were at McClellan, and that was right next to, I think it was the Monsanto plant, and there was a lot of forever chemicals that were discovered in the groundwater there. And there are a number of things. If you go out to va.gov, and I can provide this information at some point, to va.gov, and you look at all of the toxic sites that they have listed now, McClellan is one of the ones that's on there. And so so there are a number. McClellan is one of the worst ones, but there are even some others around excuse me, that have got groundwater contamination besides the Camp Lejeune, which was addressed specifically in the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. That was part of the PACT Act when it was passed in August of 2022. So, but yes, they can file for that, and there are some presumptive illnesses because of that exposure to that have been identified in the VA.
And what
one
if
of the other things,
what if this individual is already receiving 90% disability through the VA?
if they're already receiving that, okay,
Not for the toxic exposure, but they want to add that so that if
and
they
they
do
should.
pass away
And let
from
me tell you why that is because I have had some conversations with veterans that have got, they're even at 100%, and something new will show up. And if that happens, you want to add that to the veterans records as well. And I will let Logan opine on this, because she's been dealing with, or dealt with this with a lot of conversations. But the reason that's important is because if that veteran passes away and he's at 100%, and it's because of something that he's rated for, that makes getting the DIC claim passed, and also anything related to pension, much easier for his surviving spouse. I don't know if you've got any comments on that as well, Logan.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's definitely something you want to have recorded, just because, especially when veterans pass away and their surviving spouses call, it's such a nightmare for them to try and get everything. And if they're not service connected for what they passed away for, it's just really, really hard to get them benefits. And then I sent you a presumptive conditions form, just barely. I texted it to you from the VA. That's just, well, it's a list. It's just a quick sheet of all the presumptive conditions. If anybody wants it, if you want to send it out, I text it to you, just barely.
Okay, I appreciate that, Logan. So
Okay.
that's a good question, Paula. Thank you. Did you have another question as well?
Yeah, the second question, I had a call the other day. The individual's rated at 60% for hearing or something. I don't know what, but he wants to start establishing a primary care with the VA now, primarily at the VA, the Ogden Clinic. How does he go about doing that?
Good question. What he'll want to do, if it's, so he's at 50% now, and he's got his VA card.
60.
Okay, 60% got a VA card. What he will want to do is fill out a form 1010 easy, 10-10 easy. And all he's got to do is file that with the, he can send that to the, or take it into the VA hospital there, or he could take it into, I think the CBOT up at Ogden, he can probably take it in there as well. But I know that he can take it into the building 550 in the basement, or excuse me, 590 in the basement. in the VA clinic area or the hospital clinic area, and just they will process it for him there, and that will get him into the VA system at that point in time. And since he's at 60%, he gets some other benefits as well, because at 60%, he'll have access to both commissary BX and so forth up at Hill if he wants to get on and do that. At 50%, even if it's a non service connected disability or medication that he's taking, he can get all of his medications through the VA. And so it's smart to do that, even if he maintains his Medicare. If he's old, I don't know how old he is, but if he's old enough to be on Medicare, he can keep the Medicare and also have the VA hospital as another primary care and be able to deal with that. Yes.
So it sounds like step one, he has to get that ID card from the VA.
Yes, and what he'll want to do is fill out that 1010EZ, take it down to 590 590 in the basement, and go down there and they'll process it for him.
Okay, great. And just a comment on all the what people are writing. If you have service connected over 50%, you get to keep your retired pay. I don't know about the drill pay, but I know I get to keep my I went from 40 to 90, and I get to keep all my retired pay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of nuances on that. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with Logan on this very topic earlier today, which was, would you please, based on your experience in the training documents you put together, please provide me with a list that says, at 10% you get this, at 30% you get this, at 50% you get this, at 70% you get this, at 100 or 90% you get this, at 100% you get this, and be able to provide some of that, some of the escalating benefits, I'll use that term, if your disability rating goes up. Because if you take a look at the percentage of, or the amount for each of the percentages, what your compensation is, what you'll notice is there is a relatively large jump between 60 and 70. Then the largest jump is between 90 and 100. That's actually the biggest one out of that overall scale. But there's also other benefits that come up, like I said, as far as being able to get prescription and so forth. At 60%, you can certainly do that. And you can also be seen for other non-service related items at a VA hospital if that becomes necessary. So that's also a really good question. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions before I move on to make sure I'm not running out of time? I got 20 minutes left, so we'll go through that. Yes, sir. Or ma'am, excuse me. I saw that hand and it was you're in a fog there, so I apologize, Nigel.
Oh, that's okay. So if a service connected veteran wants to access base, what do they have to show proof at the gate if they're not retired?
If they've got their VA card that documents that they are whatever their rating percentage is, and so it's that little blue card. It's the one that looks a lot like this.
And where do you get
the one that looks like that? Where
do you get the blue card?
Where do you get the what?
Where do you get that card?
You get this card when you fill out a 1010EZ and you go down to the basement of 590 and they process it. You will get that card. They'll take your picture where you're there and you will get that. And then if you want to get up to the Hill Air Force Base and get access to that, all you've got to do is take that card. If you go up to the south gate of Hill and you look over to the right before you go through security, there's a building right there. If you walk into that building and show them that card and you say, I would like to request access to Hill Air Force Base so that I can go to the commissary and the BX, they will take care of that at that location.
Okay. And the other question, is there a scale sheet or something that a service connected veteran can look at as far as what benefits they can receive based on their disability rating?
Yeah, and that's actually a sheet that I've asked Reagan to put together, or Logan, excuse me, Logan to put together. And when she gets that to me, I'm gonna publish that and send that out to everybody so you can take a look at that and you'll have an idea of what that scale looks like.
I can get that to you by next week for you guys if that will be helpful. And if you guys have anything else you thought would be helpful for veterans or for you guys, let Rick know and I'm happy to put it together.
Yeah, okay. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, any other questions for right now? I'm not seeing any hands go up, so I want to go over, and I just want to go over at a high level the claim process that the VA goes through. So once, as I said, once you get the VA, or once you get your claim into the system, that'll take 1 to 3 days for them to actually enter that into the system. And then it will take them 6 to 10 weeks for the VA to request a compensation and pension exam if the evidence of record shows that one should be ordered. It may take longer if the VA has to request the veteran's military records from archives. Now, this is something I've talked with Logan about as well, and it's always one of her recommendations, or it was one of her recommendations when she was on the call center to tell veterans, if you get your service or your medical records themselves, include those on your claim, and then you will be able to potentially shortcut that time because they don't have to go look for the ones that are specific to the disability that you're claiming. So if you can include anything, if you've got, even if you've got orders that show where you were, service treatment records that show what you were treated for in the service, or medical records that you were treated for something out after, in other words, from the VA, you can include those yourself, just that part that's important for your claim, and that will help shorten that time. But as a general rule, that part is going to take 6 to 10 weeks for the VA to actually schedule the compensation and pension exam. And then you have to make sure that you go to that. If you miss a C&P exam, that is a reason for the VA to disallow your claim or deny your claim, because they need that opinion from the examiner in order to be able to put that together and get back into the rating system. Now, after the veteran attends all the C&P exams and the examiner turns in their results to the VA, from that point, it generally takes anywhere from 90 to 180 days for the VA to provide a determination. That's the current time frame that they've got. We are always asked to remind veterans to please be patient because there is a backlog and it's not going to happen quickly. And most of the veterans that I talk to, they say, well, I was in the military. I'm not surprised. There's a lot of hurry up and wait that goes on in this profession. And so that's something that they are used to. But if they ever have a question, the best thing that they can do is to set up their own va.gov account. And if they just go out to that va.gov website and select set up an account or enter an account, they can go through the ID.me process, get an account up with va.gov, and then they can actually track the status of their claim on that website or on that app. There's also an app you can get on your phone for the VA that lets you get in and look at that same information. And once you get into that, you can bring up all of the claim letters that you have received from the VA. It will show all of your claim status. Any of your tax abatement letters that you've got, you can print those off anytime you need one in order to be able to show that or give that to somebody, whether it's for property tax reduction or what have you. And everybody, if you haven't done it already and you have got a rating of any percentage, take it down to your county auditors and or county clerk's office and request a discount on your property tax, because you will get that. And in some cases, depending on where you are, you can get a reduction also on your registration for your automobiles. So that's another benefit that you can pick up through that process. So at this point, I will tell you that I'm done with the prepared part of what I wanted to talk about. And so I will just open this up at this point for any questions. Bobby, again, go ahead.
How's the VA running now with the shutdown, the VA Salt Lake?
How is it running with the shutdown? I guess the smart aleck answer would be slower. Um,
I mean, I have an appointment on the 7th. Do I still
it
have
should
that?
it should not affect healthcare. You should be good for the healthcare side. The benefits is where it is. Nine-Zell, did you have a comment on that? You're muted. Nine-Zell, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. So I have been following this closely because of being on your National Legislative Council with the Legion, but also notifications that I received from the VA. And so I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, Rick, if I can just read this briefly, because this is fresh off the press
Yeah, that's fine.
that the VA put out. So this is what they're unable to continue doing. And then I'll talk about what they can still do. The following critical veterans care and assistance programs will be impacted by the government shutdown. VA will not provide veteran career counseling or transition assistance program activities. The GI Bill hotline will be closed. VA regional benefits offices will be closed. VA will cease public affairs and outreach to veterans. VA will not permanently place headstones or maintain the grounds at VA national cemeteries. VA will not process applications for pre-need burials, and the VA will not print new presidential memorial certificates. What it will not impact is veteran health care is not impacted. VA medical centers, outpatient clinics, and vet centers will be open. VA benefits will continue to be processed and delivered, including compensation, pension, education. I'm sorry, I just lost my place. Just one moment. Education and housing benefits. Burials will continue at VA national cemeteries. Applications for headstones, markers, and burial benefits processing will continue. The Board of Veterans Appeals will continue decisions on veterans cases, and VA contact centers, which the 1-800 MyVA 411 and the Veterans Crisis Line, which is the 988 for Press One, especially as important for Be the One, are open 24/7. So what they've asked is to go to, when you go onto the va.gov website, they have what they call a VA contingency planning for a full list of VA functions that are continuing and those that are suspended at this time. But as far as the most immediate needs, which veterans have been, of course, questioning, like yourself, Bob, your health care, if you receive compensation or pensions, etc., are not impacted.
Yeah, I think that was that email that Tim sent out, is it not?
Yeah, and I think
okay.
I think that what's important here is that if we're really trying to keep communication and transparency up through the American Legion as a member-based organization,
Mhm.
it's really critical that we're communicating this clearly because we have a lot of veterans who are get very high stress in these situations. If you're finding that veterans are also looking or feeling, or you hear some of those trigger words that we sometimes hear amongst our veterans, as far as their mental and emotional or lack thereof, or need assistance, please lend them a hand. Be just more cognizant and aware of what's happening with your members and veterans alike outside of the Legion. Just be helpful citizens, right?
Yep.
We're in trying times here in the United
Yep.
States, so that's what information I have. But it's been widespread through the VA very quickly. I mean, it went out immediately through the American Legion, so just
Yep.
keep tabs on it through
Yeah,
the Legion.
and thank you for bringing that up and having that there, because I don't think I could have multitasked to pull that up. So that's a good answer. Thank you. And Bob, have you got any other questions, or was that the primary one you got? Okay. Any other questions at this point? I don't see any hands waving in the air. So,
Oh, wait, there's a question in the chat. You do have to have a disability rating for your property taxes to get a discount, right?
yes, you do.
Okay.
The property tax reduction is based on what your disability percentage is. Thank you for that, Logan.
Rick, did you have anything else that you need to talk about? Because I just have some last follow-up items for training. So
I think I am done. And thank you for looking at those questions. And I'm really bummed that the files that I put out there didn't show up, and I'm going to figure out why that happened. But at
Will
any
those
rate,
be available on utlegion.org with the training or
yeah,
training
they will be
news?
putting out there. Yes, they
Okay.
will be.
So if so everybody heard that information that Rick has will be on the website with the recording.
Along with this recording.
Yes. As an update for what we have in the online training schedule that's up and coming, on November 6th, and all of our sessions are always at 6 p.m. So on November 6th, we have Paula Stevenson, who's on this call tonight. She is our Department Americanism Chair, and she does a great job. And she will be discussing our Americanism programs and providing updated information that you'll need to know before the first of the year, especially because we have a lot of things going on in Americanism programs. In December, we are doing post and district bylaws. I'm only going to go that far. Our department judge advocate, Barb Beck, will be doing that training regarding post and district bylaws. What I want to encourage the posts and districts to do is that if you have your post and district bylaws available, or you have not updated them in a long time, or you're in the middle of amendments, be prepared in December with your questions. If you're finding that you have a laundry list of questions that are this long, maybe send those to myself ahead of time, since I serve as your department training chair, so that I can have that available and ready to go for Barb. She won't be able to, of course, answer all those questions in a 1-hour training session, but oftentimes with post and district bylaws, there's a lot of information or questions that we need to cover. And Barb has done a great job the last several years to really help posts and districts get their bylaws up to date.
Let me just interject something really quick, if I could, Nigel.
Sure.
I just wanted to thank everybody, because I made a request out to get all of a copy of current versions of Constitution and bylaws. And for those that have sent those in, thank you very much. I'm still maintaining my list, and that I'm going to probably send another reminder out, because I had asked to have those sent by the end of this month, which is end of last month, excuse me, which has already happened. So I'm going to ask and remind people to please send those in, so I can at least keep a copy of it. And I'm keeping both an electronic and a paper copy on file in the department office.
And if it, oh, go ahead, Michael.
Okay, I was going to ask Rick, you said the recording that we're watching now and the one previous that I missed would be on a website, and I don't know what website to go to.
It goes to utlegion.org, and there's an events and tab on there, news and events specifically, and that's where this will be posted. So that's where you'll go to be able to pick this up.
Okay, utlegion.org.
utlegion.org. Uniform Tango Lima Echo Golf India Oscar November Oscar Romeo Golf.
Okay. Thank you.
Bob.
You're muted, Bob.
Yeah, there we
There you
go. Nigel, as far as the Blue Hatter,
Yes.
so I get it, but how can I copy that onto my Facebook website? It will not copy.
So
Is there-
yeah, so and I've thought about this as far as downloaded pages that you may want to share on your Facebook or social media sites. There is a way to do it, and I may have to. So when I go into the software that I use to do the newsletter, I have options to put it in PDF print, PDF standard, PNG, JPEG. When it's sent out as a PNG or a JPEG file, it separates all the pages. And that's a lot of pages, but it could be put into a zip file and people could download it. So it's a conversation I think I need to have with Rick of when it's uploaded to the site on the website, that it's uploaded as a JPEG file or PNG file versus a PDF, so that you can download. But you can download specific pages or the whole thing when you go to print or when you want to share just a single page. There is a way to do that.
I'm
Yeah,
talking,
and there's
I'm
and you can
talking about,
also, if you go out to utlegion.org and right click, you can simply copy the link and you can drop that link into your page. I think that will still work.
What
Well,
was
if
your
that-
question again, Bob?
if that would work, that would be great. Just doing the link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that also, and since we're on the topic of the Blue Hatter, that's also where all the, I mean, there's such a wealth of information that comes out in September every year now, since I've been doing it. And because we've just finished National Convention and we're getting into the new training year, and there's a lot of things going on within the Blue Hatter in September. That's why it's always longer. But one thing I do know that's happening among posts is that they're printing specific pages that they want to share, or they're printing off the entire document and they just have one master copy for their post. And then they just share that during their post in district meetings.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like going into social media and posting things to share, which I of course encourage too, you know, specifically for your post. So I think, Bob, you are the admin for post 9, correct? And so if
Correct.
there's information there, I don't know if yours is a group or a page, but there's a difference between when you go into Facebook, like for example, we're a group for the department. We're not a page, we're a group. And when you go in there, you can hit files within the group on the department group. And when you hit files, you're going to see a laundry list of things that I post in there all the time, including the Blue Hatter. So if you're wanting to access those documents, just simply go into the Be the One Department of Utah, the American Legion Facebook group page, and hit the little files. It's at the top, right underneath the header of the group, and you can download files there too and share them over to your pages as well.
Yeah, I have a group. Rick, are you ready to show me how?
Since everybody's on their computers, do you want to pull up the group right now? Can you go into your Facebook right now
Sure.
where you're at? Just hit so if you're on I can just give you a tutorial real quick right now.
Okay, I'm
open
on
up-
Facebook.
Open up the Facebook group page. And if you haven't been to it before, make sure you follow it. At the top, it's a little blue button, and you hit.
So wait a minute. So I want to go to American Legion Baker Merrill Post 9 group.
No, you want to go to Be the One, Department of Utah, the American Legion, and follow that page or that group so that you're getting notifications in your Facebook. Because you know how when you get notifications, it shows who's liked your post and so on and so forth.
Okay, I just clicked on, okay, I've got the Be the One Department of Utah. I got it up
Okay, there you go. So make sure you hit follow, and then you're gonna see at the top of the page, there's like a kind of like when you see on a website, it has tabs across the top. There's some tabs to hit, one of which is files. And under files, there's a ton of files in there that I've been doing the last couple of years, but one of which is our department newsletter for
Okay.
Blue Hatter.
So just a quickie, I did that. What I've got now is all people, reels, and groups.
Let me open it up real quick. So I'm in here every day, literally.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you open up the one that says files right now, the first thing you'll see is grassroots newsletter 926, and then September 2025 Department of Utah newsletter.
If I can do this on here, see how it says Be the One. There's these little gray, and you take your finger and you scan it
Yeah.
back and forth like this.
It's,
And
it's
there's
these
one
little,
that
it's these
says
little gray
files.
items right there.
You see them? One says featured, you, about, chats, photos, events, and then there's one that's called files, albums, guides, and reels. The one that says files, when you hit that gray button for files, that's going to open up all the files that I've uploaded to that department group. And I will tell all of you this, that if you need help with it. I can also take this offline. But since this is a training opportunity, I always take it when I've got listening ears.
No, and I'm glad that you did. We're right now, we're 4 minutes over the allotted time. And so
Yeah,
I want to be respectful of everybody's time on this call, but I also don't want to miss an opportunity to do a little information sharing.
yeah. Is anybody having trouble accessing it?
Yeah, I'm not very good at this. In fact, I pushed a button on here. Now I got everybody's picture on my iPad. How do I get? Just
Well, in
one?
that case, what you want to do is you want to do a screenshot and then save that and put it on your wall.
Little jokesters. Yeah, so but did you see the files button, Bob? Did you see that?
I did not see the files, no. I've
Okay,
got-
so you're on the group right now, correct? You're in the group on Facebook for Be the One Department of Utah.
Okay, I hit groups. Okay, now I'm in groups.
Can you see the Be the One at the top that says what I'm showing you? Can you see our department page?
No, I've got all the posts on here. When I
No, you
hit
need to
groups.
go. No,
If
so
you okay, so if you hit search and just start with Be the One, that's gonna pop up first if you're following it. It's gonna be right at the top, and make sure you're opening the Be the One page first or group first.
Okay, and I did that, and then so I've got a picture of the son's with his finger up.
Okay.
No, you're gonna want to be on this right here, which is the Be the One group. This is our front facing group page for Be the One Department of Utah.
Yeah, and it'll look like that if you can see my phone.
And if you're not seeing that, then you're not in our group right now. You haven't opened it up. No, you're not in our group. You
I'm
are.
not in.
No, you're on something else. I don't know. I know that photo. I know what that is, but that's not. No, the Be the One, when you type in
So
the,
that is the photo. It's on the first page. So he's got to
Okay, that one.
There you go.
yeah, there you go. Okay, now there's little
click join,
gray,
then visit.
there's little gray buttons underneath the message and invite buttons. Do you see that? So you have this blue button up here and you've got a gray button, but underneath it, there's a whole scroll of different buttons that you can hit that are gray. And when you go into those, as you take your finger, you can take your finger and scroll those. And when you scroll them, you'll come to files. So right
Okay.
underneath manage and invite, you see those gray buttons, Bob?
Well, I see them, but the last one, I go to marketplace events pages. Is that the one?
No, right underneath. So are you back? Are you on the front facing page for department, right? Just like that. Yeah.
We can't see your phone because you got your background blurred.
Oh, hold on a minute.
All we can see is your face.
You're like, we just want to stare at your face. Let's see here, video. We don't want that. Okay, let's try this again. Okay,
All right.
you see how I'm on the front page?
I
of the-
don't see that. I see this here.
Oh, that's a different one there. I'm sorry. See,
Yeah, that's different.
if you go up to any just your basic homepage on Facebook and you click the little search button, the
Right.
magnifying glass, and you
Right.
type in Be the One, and then what you're going to want to find is the one that says Be the One, Department of Utah, the American Legion. That's the full name of that page.
That's that one, Rick, right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So hit
Now, what
that.
do I click? And then visit?
Okay.
Hit visit. And then you should be on this page now. Yep. Okay, now right underneath there where it says manage and invite, there's gray buttons. And those gray buttons scroll. And when you take your finger and scroll, you can scroll to files, and that's where you're going to see all the files I've uploaded.
Grassroots newsletter, 9/26.
Yep, you got
There
it.
you go.
Yay.
You've arrived.
So make sure you're following that page. The other thing that we're doing on that Facebook group is inviting our friends. Now, why is this important? What you will see in this group is that there are 640 members and growing. This is not just exclusive to our department. There's conversations and information sharing that's happening across the entire thing of all the departments or those who are interested in helping and supporting veterans.
Authorization code.
So
Google Voice sent a long notification.
so if you are wanting to tap into a veteran network, this is a great place to do it at. I monitor this every day as a moderator. There have been some people that I have kicked out. It's not very many, but I make sure that we're not getting spammed or bots are not coming in there. I have really strict restrictions on the group. So if you're deciding that for your post or district, we also have for District 8, which is Salt Lake County and Tooele County, we also have a District 8 page, and then some posts have also their post pages. Now, why is this important, right? What you want to have local, but what's happening through the department is that we're sharing all of your, if you send us or I see something on Facebook and you've tagged the department. So tagging means that you put at and you put Be the One, Department of Utah, the American Legion, it'll tag in blue underneath your post, and I will become aware that you have this event or activity or something that you want the department to know about. So
Okay, let me interject here because we're starting to lose members. We're down to 11 participants. And
okay.
so I think people are running out of time. So I just want to be careful with that, and I want to take an opportunity for everybody that's still on to say thank you for being here. So I'll go ahead and let you see if there's anything else you want to finish, Nine-Zal.
Yeah. Is there any other questions about it, Bob, that you have, or anybody else?
Yeah, you want to update us on your last trip on Boise State?
Sure. I'll be sending out an after action report for this. I actually have a meeting nationally again that they've started starting on Monday for those of us that are directors and chairs. But for the Americanism conference that I went to in Indianapolis this last weekend, it was a great session. They did a lot of, they provided us, well, first of all, they started out with talking about media, social media, digital presentations, things that are impacting the American Legion positively and what's happening with the Americanism programs. They started that off with us on Friday evening. On Saturday, we spent the entire day as departments for Boise State. Some of them were presentations from like the Boise State from Missouri or from Wisconsin. Some of the larger Boise states that have major tools and things that can help other departments grow their programs. In the role that I'm in for Boise State as your executive director, which they just call directors at the national level, I'm charged with helping Doug in curriculum, as well as the speakers that we have at Utah Boise State. And so we had a lot of discussion about that. We had breakout sessions that included small, medium, and large departments based on how large their Boise State programs are. So for example, Utah's kind of in between small and medium based on the number of boys that we graduate every year. This year in 2025, we graduated 201, which is the highest it's been since post-COVID, which we were happy about. We can max out at Weber State University at 300 boys. So the goal is, of course, is for us to get to 300 kids showing up at Boys State. And so we had discussions about fundraising efforts, retention, helping get information, disseminate information out to the masses about our Americanism programs, but more particular between Boys and Girls State. Some of the departments have co-ed Boys and Girls State, which in Utah we are not a proponent of. There's some pros to it in one way, in a small way, but here in Utah, we like our Girls State and our Boys State programs to be separate. And a lot of that is, for obvious reasons. And some of it, there are also some benefits that we can have in events and planning that we could do on a much smaller scale for, a combined effort, such as right now we're looking heavily into a Utah Boys State Alumni Association. So there was a lot of discussion in the departments about what we could do. Some of them already have them and have for quite some time. And some of this feeds into the fundraising efforts that we want to see happen for Utah Boys State in particular. So we actually are working on a document as of this last weekend at the Americanism Conference to generate a Utah Boys State Alumni Association. Since I am your president for the Utah Boys State Foundation, I'm charged with making sure and hopefully see if that's something that the board all votes on and agrees on to have. And the reason why that's important is because every time you graduate a class, you have anywhere so far about 200 kids. They potentially could be SAL members. They can potentially get letters of recommendation from many of us as staff for, in fact, I'm working on one now for a kiddo from last year that was wanting to go to 2 different military service academies. So they get letters of recommendation from us. So there was lots of different discussions about how we can continue to grow the Americanism programs, especially during this time. That's pretty unprecedented with what we're dealing with here in the nation right now. We have a lot of youth who are, if they're not confused, they're about to be confused, or there's some that are just absolutely brilliant. They've been taught some things around Americanism that we see as really valuable and important to our youth. And so we talked a lot about that as well during the Americanism conference with different departments. We also have started a new group that's online that allows for us as directors and chairs to share information between departments that potentially could be helpful for our department. So for example, it's like it's a platform where you can submit documents like files, just like we do in Facebook, but it's just, just specifically for those of us that are directors to access information to put together and increase, what's the word I'm looking for? Enhance our curriculum that we already have. We have a very robust curriculum for Utah Boys State. And so we compare and contrast those between different departments. We see what's working, what's not. And of course, we have national staff there to support us as well that arrive at that Americanism conference as well, to talk with us about what's working, what's not. I've already completed an evaluation of the conference just today from this last weekend. So it's busy. It's very busy, but it was very productive and walked away with a lot of information that we want to share with the department.
Okay, if I could just have
Thank you.
one quick last question.
Sure.
Probably for you, Rick, because this one's coming up. It's on the oratorical, and this I just received an email from one of my counselors on the things that we were doing with boys and girls in oratorical that I talked to you about, Nigel.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, do you want interested students to do the online registration part here? And it's for the register.legion.org/oratorical/request. Now, I'm assuming that would go to national, and then back to you, Rick, for forwarding to the post that's.
Is
that,
this pertaining to what's this pertaining to for registration? Are you-
oratorical.
No, I know it's oratorical, but what are you referencing within oratorical? They're requesting
For-
information or a scholarship or
No, for just someone who wants to attend.
so
put
what
their-
what they need to do, they want to attend nationally or they want to participate here locally?
Locally,
Okay, so locally, are they part of your post area?
yes.
Okay,
Well,
so
this form here, I'm assuming is a national form.
yeah, and I don't know which form
I think Richard Scott is looking to do something as well. So
so
Well,
so what I'm gonna
It's
say is
register,
this,
it's on register.legion.org. And
okay,
this
that's
is what it is.
let me see here, request or hold it up a little bit higher.
that's the
Oh,
legion.org.
request, oh, that's just the contest
Whoops.
information.
Right.
They certainly can request that, but honestly, the post and districts and the department are responsible at the local level to hold our contests, right? And so they're not going to be registering or moving on from that in conjunction with working with our oratorical chair, which is Sheila Heindel. And she is the person that you need to work with directly as far as any questions you may have about requests
Right.
with connection to national. But if do you have your post oratorical scheduled?
I do.
Okay. And then your district one is scheduled as well, I assume.
The district is, yeah.
Yeah. And so all of that will just funnel right up to department. And then as far as requesting national information, that's where Sheila works with the youth champions who have won what they have. Well, in particular,
move on.
oratorical, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
are you?
And the department one is the one that's going to be on March, I believe it is now.
It is. It's all,
in
yeah, it's
Provo,
in March. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So we're hoping
Awesome.
that the posts are the other thing is, speaking of oratorical, we've talked about what we can do to improve the oratorical program in conjunction with Boys State and Girls State, because there's a lot of opportunity for these kids to get scholarships through oratorical and of course Utah Boys State and Girls State. And we're actually looking into considering as part of the curriculum for Boys State of having where we break off. This is something under the works. I don't know if it will be for 2026, but it's something that Doug and I are talking about as far as having a not a competition or a contest, but for them to have a lived experience at Boys State, to say, here's an amendment, give us a 3-minute speech about this amendment and see.
Richard, have you got a question?
Yeah, Richard, you're mute.
I do, but not for this discussion. This zooms in my camera and zooms it out. I have a tracking camera, so for podcasting. So I stand up, it follows me around.
Oh, it follows you around. Yeah.
This tells it to zoom in or zoom out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to suggest that we bring this to an end because we're already 23 minutes over time. And this can be continued on logically in a month at the Americanism presentation, because that will be a natural fit for that. So I want to be respectful of people's time on this call and not run over. I mean, this has been really some good information, and thank you, Neinzel, for sharing that. You do those impromptu things quite well, and so
we're trying to get
I
information.
appreciate that. So unless there's any other truly short questions, Bob.
Bob, you're always welcome to call and talk with me too.
I'm going to suggest
I
that we
have a
close this
quick
out. So,
question. I don't know if you guys know it, but Mount Pleasant we're creating a memorial, and we've already raised almost $200,000 for a Veterans Memorial in Mount Pleasant. And they're doing the groundbreaking on October 4th, which is this weekend. And of course, the American Legion is heavily involved. We raised a lot of the money, or helped raise a lot of the money. I just is there something I should tell district or,
What district are you in?
6, I think, or 4? I don't know which one. Marty
Are you,
Bigby,
what county are you in?
San Pete.
San Pete County, okay. So if you want to, Richard, I just put my email in the chat. If you'll email me details and information, I'm happy to share about that event for this weekend.
Mhm.
To see if there's, members or that would like to attend and they just didn't know about it. I know I can't attend. My niece's wedding is this weekend, but or I typically would attend something like that. But yeah, if you shoot me,
When you get that, if you would send that to me as well, I will forward that off to the leadership of the department. And if anybody can attend, they will be there if they've got an opening in their schedule. So I would like to do that as well if you could.
I think it's safe to say, Rick, right, that when there's information that needs to go out broad to the department, of course, that's your department adjutant. When there's things that need to be put up on social media, that's me. So
And so if you
between
send
Rick
that to
and I,
both of
we
us,
do us.
we'll get both of those birds with one rock.
Yep.
Hey, Richard, quit looking at the ceiling. My neck's starting to hurt.
It's because my camera's too low. I have a new camera. It doesn't
Okay.
fit on top of the monitor yet. So
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off here. Everybody, it was so nice chatting. And if you have other questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
Rick,
Thank you
did you
all.
text your,
Okay.
did you put your chat in the,
My
or your,
email's in the chat. Do you want to grab that
How
real
about-
quick?
how about Rick?
Oh, Rick's is this. Hold on, I'll type it.
Yeah,
in.
I'll go ahead and put mine in right now, and you can look at it really quickly, which is I think I spelled that right.
Can you put yours in, Scott? I'd like to contact you.
It's
Waiting.
both emails are in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. I see. I think that's what happened with my other ones too. So that's a bummer. I think I just figured out why you couldn't see my files.
Why is
Yeah,
that?
you're both yours are in there. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you just copy paste those, shoot off an email to Rick and I with any information you ever want shared. We're happy to do that. We just need the content because we can't guess. And if you have flyers, at least for me, I prefer them to be JPEG or PNG files. If they're going straight onto a thread within Facebook. If they're not, and they're files that you want to actually have under files, they certainly can be PDFs. But if they're image driven, like I have posts who will send me flyers, and sometimes I have to screenshot them to make it into a PNG because I don't have the original file. So that's helpful for me as far as social media for the department.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to shut off recording now.
Oh, great. You've been recording the whole time.
Yes.